Hey guys, Curtis Alexander. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the blood sugar swings and fluctuations that you can see if you're moving away from extreme diets that you've done long-term, like moving away from keto or carnivore, trying to reintroduce carbs. Those blood sugar swings can be a big issue for people. So I want to talk about practical ways to address that. So first you have to understand what your body has done at this point. If you've eliminated or extremely limited carbs long enough, your body has essentially adapted to that low carb state. It's processing free fatty acids as a fuel source, and you are essentially, for lack of a better term, insulin resistant in a lot of cases. Meaning, as soon as you introduce carbs, you're going to have difficulty processing them, metabolizing those. So we see these blood sugar swings, okay? So rule number one is to understand these peaks are going to happen. These blood sugar swings are going to happen. Our job is to minimize them. How do we do that? We do that first by going extremely slow. This is going to vary. I've had people come to me who they were able to go from coming off keto and jumping up to 100 grams of carbs a day, no issues. Other people, if they went to 100 grams of carbs, I went even higher in the beginning. You're going to see weight gain. You're going to see blood sugar swings. So I always encourage people, go towards the low end of this scale, see how you do, and you can continue to adjust them up after that. So for what I recommend for most people, add in 10 to 25-ish grams of carbs a day to what you're doing right now. See how you do that for a week. So if you're doing 30 grams of carbs a day right now, try 40, maybe 55-ish. If you're doing great, if your blood sugar's adapting well, you can keep bumping up. If you're having issues, you're gonna have to stay at the lower end and let your body adjust. This is not, particularly if you were doing these things long-term like I was, it is not a quick process. Anybody who tells you different is likely trying to sell you some sort of program, not a fast process, okay? Next thing is whatever carbs you do add back in slowly, make them easier to digest carb sources. So for me, I did well with ripe fruits. I emphasize ripe because some people, for example, they'll eat a banana that's not quite ripe yet. That unripe banana has a lot more starch in it. That's going to be a little more difficult for your body to metabolize than something like a ripe fruit or a simple sugar. So I always go ripe fruits. People talk down about real juice. I'm not saying you should drink a gallon of real orange juice, not the crap stuff, but real orange juice. But sometimes that can be a good source. I really like honey, particularly if it's raw, local, granulated. Honey is a good one. If you can tolerate milk, and if you can find raw milk, that's a great option. If you tolerate things like a yam or a squash, make sure it's very well cooked. But those tend to be good options for people. One I forgot to mention, maple syrup. Real maple syrup can be a good option. So we go slow, we add in very favorable, very easy to digest carbs. We always want to combine them. You don't want to eat carbs on their own. Try to combine it with a protein or a fat. That's going to help regulate your blood sugars a little more. We want to make sure that they're nutrient dense, okay? We want to make sure all our foods are nutrient dense, but especially our carb sources. And the reason for that is as you help your body migrate to processing carbs, glucose is going to produce more ATP than a free fatty acid molecule will produce ATP. So you're going to be producing more energy. That's going to require more nutrients to produce that energy, minerals, nutrients, enzymes to kind of work this process through. One thing I forgot to mention on here, a very important one, if you find you have trouble regulating those blood sugars, try eating every 3 hours in the beginning. It's kind of a pain, but as you go along, you're going to be able to spread that out. In the beginning, I ate every 3 hours. Now I eat anywhere, sometimes 3 meals a day, sometimes 5. I don't know if I call them meals, but I kind of alternate between maybe a little snack, maybe a full-blown meal, but 3 to 5 meals a day now, and I do great. But in the beginning, you may need to go every 3 hours. So sorry, I forgot to mention that one up here. So we talked about the nutrient density, and I think those will probably get you going. The thing that I can't stress enough, you're gonna have to be patient with the process. You have to understand what you've done to your body at this point, and you lack metabolic flexibility. So it is going to be a process. It is going to be one of going slow, eating the right foods, combining macros, eating frequently, and over time you're going to be able to do a little better. Now, people ask about the timeline. How long will this take? I've done videos on that, but think of it this way. The longer you've done it, the longer it's going to take to recover. I did this well over 10 years. It took me, I'm like in year 4 or 5 now, doing very well, but that's why I do these videos, because I didn't understand a lot of these things when I got going. But I think for somebody that was doing it as long as me, I would say, you got to give yourself at least 18 months. If you were doing keto 6, 8, 9 months, you can probably start feeling better within the first 30 days, but it may take you 3 to 6 months to kind of bounce back. So again, the longer you're doing it, the longer the recovery time, in my experience. Some people are better, some people are less. So again, I hope some of these pointers help you understand A, why this is happening, and B, things you can do to kind of address it. So let me know in the comments. You have any other questions? I read all the comments nowadays. As I do more of these, I don't necessarily have time to respond to all them. And make sure to go to the link in the description. I talk a lot more about this stuff on my email list. So hope this was helpful, guys. I will see you. Thanks.